Hi, this is Anisha. Welcome to my channel Design O'Clock. As you know, in the last episode, we were talking about product design or accessory design, as they call it, lifestyle and accessory design in NIFT. So, we talked about what the stream actually is, what is all covered in that particular stream, and what are the avenues that you can opt for when you are a student of that particular stream, either product design or accessory design. We talked about the different uh, career options that one can think of if you are opting for any one of those streams in any one of those colleges, or if you are just practicing and learning things by yourself. So, in the last episode, we covered that part. If you haven't seen that episode yet, I would be sharing the link of that episode below. Please go and check it out first so that you understand the context of today's video. Okay, so let's get started with today's video. In today's video, we will be talking about the design process of product design or lifestyle and accessory design, the general procedure. Okay, and we will also be discussing how you can understand if accessory design is the right stream for you. So, to start with, as you know, there are quite a few things that one needs to consider to understand the source of the requirement. When I say the source of the requirement, I mean if you are a student, if you're in a college right now and your teacher or your subject is asking for a particular design, or they have given you a particular design project, then that is the source of your requirement. Okay, and if you have already studied product or accessory design, if you are now a professional designing products or accessories for a particular brand or for yourself, then, or for any other third client for that reason, if you are a professional, then the person asking the kind of design from you is the source of the requirement, or the source that requires you to design. Okay, sometimes you are a label. Okay, you are the sole designer, you create stuff and then you sell. So in that case, the starting point in your design is the trend research or the survey that you do before starting the design. That happens only when you are the sole designer or it is your own label. But otherwise, there is some third person who is giving you the question, who is plating you the requirement, and only then you start your job. This is actually the case with all kinds of designs, by the way. So when you have that one question, what you need to design, okay, these are the questions that you ask yourself. You already don't have them, you ask yourself, what exactly are you going to design? Okay, what is the requirement? Then how would you know the client? So if you are a solo designer or a label, you will be needing a survey or a research and analysis to go forward with the designing process, because you can't just throw things mid-air. You need to have a point to throw your dart at. Okay, so to do that, you will be needing a research about the kind of clients you are preparing to cater to. So if you are designing for middle-aged people, then your requirements would be something, your concern points would be something. If you are designing for elderly people, your concerns would be another very different set of things. If you are designing for maybe the latest generation, your focus points or focal points would be something very very different. So you need to understand your client, you need to understand whom you are designing for. So if it is not a label, if it is a client that you are designing for, or maybe if you are designing for a company, if you are designing for your teacher, then you need to understand what he or she or they are asking for. Okay, so you jot all of those points down, all of those things down, uh, so that you know what all other points that you need to keep ticking as you go ahead. And then when you know the requirement, when you know your client, when you know your customer, when you know their taste, okay, when you know the purpose why they are asking for a design, are they asking for a lamp to keep on their bedside table, or are they asking for a reading light, or are they asking for an ambient light to decorate a kids room maybe. So you need to understand the purpose as well, not just the client, not just their taste, but also the purpose why they're asking for something. Then you need to understand that there must be something close, if not exactly, then something close to that product available in the market. If you have anything of that manner, you will have to go and study about that as well. Okay, you will have to understand what exactly are the key features of that product, what is that particular brand or manufacturer providing in that particular product, and what are the key problems that their product is having that you can target and solve. So all of these points need to be noted down. If there is nothing of that particular type available in the market, then it is completely your call. You need to figure out how you do it, and what might be the problems that might arise, and then you need to criticize your design and solve all of those problems, and then cater as usual, as every other designing process work. So now that you have studied what people have been doing, or maybe if there has nothing been done, so you started from scratch, when that is done, now suppose you are designing for a particular season. Maybe you are designing something for the spring, for the fall, or maybe for the winter. There are certain cases where you need to consider the season as well. So if you are launching a collection maybe for Christmas, then definitely your product range or collection might as well have that Christmas vibe, or maybe Halloween vibe if it is fall, or maybe something completely different in some completely different seasons. So season is also something that needs to be considered. While considering seasons, one can also consider the trends that are going on, the trends for that particular season, because that also helps a lot. A trend research is actually meant for helping a designer with a guidelines, or it is just like a flashlight a designer uses to go ahead in the dark lane, because that sort of gives you an entire research of what people think, or people are planning to do or wear, or what people are thinking of inviting into their lives. So that is kind of a research which is just plated correctly, and it saves a lot of time as well. So for a designer, it is nice to have a well plated research done already. So quite a few designers use trend researches as a key raw material for further designing. Excuse me. So I think it is nice to also consider the trend researches. If you are in a college, if you are a student, using trend researches or following them is pretty much of a mandatory thing, because I don't know, uh, because most of the faculties really want that, which is they want the designs aligned to a particular upcoming trend. So that is also something that you consider, apart from just the seasons, also the trends. Then you start sketching quickly, even if it is a jewelry set, or maybe if it is a shoe, or maybe a mirror, or maybe a fountain, or maybe a spatula, or a frying pan, or maybe a mobile cover, or earpods, or anything for that reason. Whatever your product is, doesn't matter what, you need to do a initial research to understand what you are looking for. And after that, when you're done with that structure, basic structure, you need to start considering all of the points you wanted to consider while designing, which is your client, their purpose, their societal belonging, where do they belong to, and what exactly are their not just requirements, but also wishes or desires, or their expectations also to some extent. So we consider all of those things. We consider those things, and we try understanding if our design, the idea that we have thought of, aligns with all of those requirements. If yes, then we go ahead with creating a final idea. We also try understanding what would be the right color palette and texture for that particular product. And then when we are done with all of that, when we are satisfied with our design, after questioning us if the design is worth it, if we are clients, would we buy it, after considering all of those points, we finally showcase the design from different angles, and then we label all its bits and parts, we label its measurements, we talk about the material, we talk about the texture, and all sorts of things basically, and even the pricing at certain areas if we are aware of. So after doing all of those things, we briefly talk about the entire product, so that if a person sees it, if it is communicated to a particular customer, he or she understands how it works and what it is all about in a very brief explanation. So that is pretty much about the product designing procedure. Now an interesting thing is, product designing, as we go ahead, is not just something that these days we do in pen and paper. We definitely use different softwares to work as well. You as a accessory design student or a product design student will also be taught to use all of those softwares. So you will get to learn all of those things where you can develop designs in 3D. Also I think it is really important these days to incorporate AI into your designing, because that's something that eases out the entire procedure if you know how to use it rightly. And now the second part of today's episode that I wanted to talk about is whether this stream is right for you or not. How do you know that? Well, see, the thing is that we have this good old procedure where we research about a particular like a particular stream, and then we get to know if it is suitable for us or not. Because when we are spending a lot of our time with a particular topic, we somewhat have this idea, we somewhat get that idea whether we are enjoying spending that time or not, whether we are enjoying spending that particular time with that particular topic or subject or not. So we get that idea. So this is definitely something that you get to do when you are in that course, when you are doing it, when you're learning all the subjects and doing stuff like that. You get an idea whether you like it or not. But we don't want to waste our time that way. What if you don't like it after going to that college? So the best way to understand it before choosing your stream is you do a vivid research. You try understanding the different kinds of products that are available, different product designers, what do they work, what your inclination is towards electronics, or maybe home decor, or maybe something completely different. So you try researching everywhere. Try understanding, if you're liking bags, you try understanding what kind of designers are there who are working into bags. What designs do you like? Whose designs do you like? Why do you like that? So you do a vivid research. You write down everything. You write down the names of the designers or the labels that does that. You try understanding. You write down what exactly are the key features that you really liked and what you disliked. So that way you get to understand your taste. And when you understand your taste, you know what happens? You are more aware of what you want. So that helps a lot. And that makes you very clear about your goal, so that you know where you want to see yourself in like the next 10 to 15 years. That helps a lot. So do research, do a whole lot of research, write down, make a journal, so that you can always revisit that and feel enriched. And that can also help you in your further designs. When you know the key features that you really like, you can use it in your next designs or upcoming designs. So do that, make a research journal, and then you know what exactly you like and what you don't like. Make things interesting. Use beautiful aesthetic looking pens and markers and pictures and all sorts of things. Anything that actually makes your process really interesting and fun for you. Do that. And when you spend that much time, you know if you like it or you just think that this is not your thing. So okay, this is pretty much about it. Do that, and if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Thank you so much for watching to this video. Okay, bye bye, have a great day ahead.